If we talk a little bit about the different sectors, some would say that we've seen losers and winners emerge in this time. Not to say that they're real winners per se, but some sectors have had, increased demand, for instance, and things have been a bit more thriving for them. So, in your opinion, what sectors would fall into these two categories at this time?
So, I think the biggest beneficiary would be the telecommunications sector. The use of internet has definitely grown significantly. The use of telephone, the use of mobile money, electronic payment solutions have been a major. For a long time we've kind of been resisting doing online banking. Now we have no choice. Everybody is registering for their online banking solutions. So that sector will be one of the beneficiaries. The other beneficiary will be healthcare. I think there is going to be a renewed focus on healthcare. Although over the short term it will be a double-edged sword, because I understand people are not going to hospitals at the moment.
Stigma.
Because of the stigma.
Yes.
But over the long term, I think the commitment to healthcare will be a significant change that will come out of this. I'm not sure who the losers will be. I think that's one we are going to see. We are going to wait and see. Obviously, there are a lot of companies that are going to struggle in the SME sector over the short term. That will have an impact on the non-performing loans in banks. Fortunately, the central bank is encouraging banks to restructure those loans so that they give them space to recover. The hospitality and tourism sector is definitely going to take a significant hit. And unfortunately, because of the nature of the industry, that might be a little prolonged, because people make their bookings way in advance.
Exactly, yeah.
So, you're not even sure when you can begin to start booking again.
Very true.
So that is going to take a hit. But we hope that, I think people will all be saving and waiting to go for that holiday once they are
able to.
They're able to. So yeah. we hope that when it recovers, it'll recover strongly.
From a bit of a bird's eye perspective, what is your take on perhaps the global markets and the shifts that we're seeing, especially when it comes to the Dow? And the New York Stock Exchange really sets a bit of a tone for many of the others. So what is your take on that?
Yeah, yes, the global markets have been in ups and downs, quite fluid and being affected by various factors. But the global markets, particularly driven by the US, have been on a bull run for a long time. And some would argue that perhaps a correction was imminent. And so we've seen some level of a correction, which perhaps brought the market to perhaps, in my opinion, what would be a well-priced level. I think it all depends on how the economies develop going forward. I believe there is going to be some shift in terms of the economic power in the world going forward, and I think the US might not be the economic power that it was in the past, and therefore that might have some implications in terms of the American market's dominance. And we might see a bigger shift, hopefully, to Asia and Africa in terms of where growth is going to be spurred for going forward.
Okay, and the potential, of course, on the continent and tapping into that more, I think, will be exciting to see. Yes. But even as we come to the tail end, what can we further expect? What can investors expect from AIB-AXYS, and perhaps just a bit of a glimpse into the future and a few of your future goals?
Okay, thank you. I think we are all excited about this merger. We believe it has good benefits for both us and our clients, and we are looking forward to a lot of innovations. You can expect a lot more development along the innovation space. You can expect more products that are being plugged in onto the DigiTrader platform, so that it can become your one-stop shop to provide you all the investment solutions that you would want to get on the DigiTrader. We can expect greater innovations in terms of using the derivatives, using the securities lending and borrowing to provide alternative investments out of the vanilla investments which we have all been used to in the past. And indeed, we have already designated a manager who will be managing what we will refer to as alternative assets, which is now the derivatives, the securities lending and borrowing, the short selling. And we aim to be at the forefront of providing those solutions to the market. I think we will continue to play a major role in our corporate finance arm, and we will continue to leverage, hopefully leverage our balance sheet to do more things in terms of market making on the derivatives market. Hopefully, also exposing our clients to these alternative assets and giving them an opportunity to invest.
Okay.
Yeah.
And finally, as we close up, just your thoughts on investor education, even as all these new exciting happenings are taking place. Perhaps what more can we do to ensure that the local investor out there is understanding what the opportunities are?
Okay. So I think when we launched DigiTrade, one of the challenges we found is that a lot of people say, I've never heard of the stock market. I don't know very much about the stock market.
Yes.
So we immediately realized that one of the bigger challenges to our selling this product was the education. And, we switched our marketing pitch to more of an educational pitch rather than, trying to sell the product. So we are trying to educate the public on investing in the stock market. That way, once they are educated, then they are able to come onto a platform. But I think that's a big challenge. I'm not sure where the solution is, but I think as the government switches to, I think, the competence-based curriculum, I think one of the things they should consider is to incorporate investor education as part of our curriculum. I always say that investment is a life skill. Everybody gets money. And what makes a difference is how you invest. What makes a difference to people over the long term is how they save and invest their money. Those who save and invest then are able to create wealth and help the economy grow much better. So I think that's a very critical part of growing an economy. And if you take examples of China, where the savings rate are as high as 40%, you compare to Kenya, where our savings rate are at 30%, I think there is a need for our government to focus on educating the public on the importance of savings and investment, but also creating those legislation that would facilitate people to invest. In the recent past, we've seen the government pulling back on some of the incentives that they have given. We saw an attempt to tax pensioners, for example. That is perhaps telling people not to save. I mean, it's sending the wrong signals. So we would like to urge the government that saving is a very critical part of growing an economy, and investor education must start right from our primary schools to our high schools to our university. I think most people learn about investment when they are in university.
Yes.
Most people start investing after they get married, I think. So, we've got to encourage our younger generation to start earlier.
Yeah, getting in earlier and being able to get them into that understanding and that system, I think it's a very interesting thought that you've had, and definitely important as well. So thank you so much, Paul. We really appreciate you taking your time to join us today.
Thank you.
And there you go. A lot of insight from Paul, not only on AIB-AXYS, but also, of course, for investors, especially if you're somebody who's thinking about investing into the stock exchange right now and what to expect if you're new, how to go about it. He definitely had a lot of interesting information for you. But that's what we aim to do on the Trading Bell, bring you that kind of information and so much more. Catch us, of course, on the next episode, but you can keep up with the Trading Bell through our social media handles that are appearing right there on your screen. Well, until next time, I'm Malika Kazia. Stay safe and stay smiling.
This is KTN News.